So what does the guidance mean by findings? Well, it doesn't tell you specifically, but there are clues. Your report is basically made of 3 sections. You have a review, a description, the gap analysis, if you want, of the management system. You have the identification of hazards, and finally the 2 risk assessments. So when it asks you to summarise the findings, what it means is, what have you discovered whilst writing your report? In particular, what did you discover when doing the gap analysis of the management system and when doing the 2 risk assessments? So you need to summarise the gap analysis and the risk assessments. What is good? What are the problems? How serious are the problems? And what are the likely implications of those problems? Now you can and probably should talk about the other hazards that you identified, but you didn't risk assess them. So you won't have a great deal to say about them. You haven't got many findings. The main mistake that people make with the conclusions is that they fail to mention either the gap analysis or the risk assessments. But it's important that you summarise all of the findings, both those related to the management system and the risk assessments. So, what comes after the conclusions? The recommendations. Well done. The recommendations have got to follow on from the conclusions. It says in the guidance, recommendations should be based upon the points set out in the conclusions and make reference to the candidate's gap analysis of the health and safety management system and assessments of the levels of risk posed by the hazards identified. The recommendation should lead on from the conclusions and not come as a complete surprise to the reader. So what it's saying there is, when the recommendations follow on from the conclusions, it means every negative conclusion must lead to at least one recommendation. In other words, you can't have a conclusion on a problem which doesn't lead to a recommendation. And similarly, you can't have a recommendation on something which you didn't mention in the conclusions. So you can't identify a problem without suggesting how to fix it, and you can't make a suggestion on how to fix something if you didn't mention it in the recommendations. The guidance also asks you to prioritise your recommendations, to justify them, and to do a cost-benefit analysis. But that is a subject for a different video.